Hey there, it's Dave, Mountain Branch Music. We're trying something new. I'm gonna unbox something. I went ahead and I saw on the Guitar Gardens website they had another Firefly Pegasus drop, and this one has some interesting changes. At first, they led with full hollow, which was one of my main complaints from the first Generation 2 Pegasus hollow body, which I have here. I'll have it ready for comparison. So I think the last one said full hollow, but it's not truly full hollow. If you look in here, the center block goes back about here to where the carve stops, which is actually less fully hollow, and this is a small spalted maple, kind of like a cherry burst. I enjoy it. I don't play it a lot. I'm living with it. This is the Generation 1 Pegasus, which I've modded and we'll talk about in some future videos. And this is more like a carved top, routed back, all mahogany. If you're a Languedoc fan, this might be more considered like the G4, the more affordable style. So this was the initial Pegasus Firefly. And then, so they came out with the Gen 2. First they came out with this nice spalty thing, which I don't hate, but then, they quickly sold out, and just kind of luckily I was in one of the groups that watches those things, and they said, hey, they're live, you can get one. So it was between things at work, I was like, ooh, I think I'm gonna go for it. Because the price is pretty great on them when you can catch them. And that's the thing, they're in this kind of interesting marketing where they do drops and just kind of surprise you. Like some fashion I follow, and some friends of mine are into, does the same thing. So it's kind of fun in its own, but it's also maybe you have to think of yourself if you're really more into it, almost like a distributor. Like I will probably only keep one of these. I'll pick a favorite. As I was saying, back to my story. When I was looking at this one, they led with full hollow, and I was like, ooh, maybe they made a change. I probably doubt it. But again, I think I might be able to do pretty well on a resale, and I wanted to give an update and a little more of a do the unboxing thing for the first time, just for fun. Never done it, so I thought I'd try it out. Let's get right to it. I've got a knife. I've got a box. It's pretty light, I will say. It's coming in. So it's light. I'm gonna weigh it in the box. Yeah, this is pretty light too. But their packaging is pretty simple. I've had a few Fireflies now. It's the box, and there's gonna basically be a foam coffin inside, which you will open up, which seems, everything I've seen, it keeps them safe. I think I've come into secondhand guitars used that people keep these around. They're kind of, back in the day, budget guitars would have these little cardboard cases that, back when everything was done in local music stores, would kind of make do. You could bring it home and play, and odds are most people weren't gigging outside of church or whatever, so it was fine. But there we go, we get our first sneak peek of the styrofoam coffin. There's some tape on there. I'm gonna lower our camera view a little bit so we can see. And I'm pretty cautious with this, I got my pink unboxing sweats on today. I thought it'd make it a special occasion. I'm just gonna bring it right out. This is the easiest way. I'm gonna have to vacuum up the fleece blanket here. Oh, I ran into the ceiling. So these started all the way in China. You got the tariffs coming on. Why not? Let's get into it. So and then we'll just do a little playthrough and initial reactions. But I thought I'd share the fun of getting a brand new Firefly in the mail. Can't go too deep with the knife. And the suspense. And you know, I see other folks do stuff like this. It's a little bit of a quality check, you know. I got another budget guitar recently. And it did take a little bit, but honestly, once I tuned it up and got it set up, it was basically perfect. The trem was floating just the way I liked. The action was pretty good. There was something, I did change the strings, and even then it was a pretty good setup. And the last experience I had with the Firefly, so I'm expecting to be able to tune this up and it be pretty good, even though we've been going through some weather here. I'm in the southeastern United States. Let's do the big reveal. I'll move it even a little closer to the camera. Drum roll, if you please. There we go. So the burst on this is a little lighter. I can see that. I'm gonna try to get y'all even closer here. I'm not native to the Southeast, but I've always been fond of y'all. So you get this, a truss rod adjustment wrench, no mini wrench for saddles on this, a mono, molded plastic cable, which I've got a number of those. And then for packaging, they've got your big styrofoam coffin here, and then they wrap the guitar individually in a kind of a light styrofoam. I gotta keep an eye on there. And at this point, I think we can back it up a little bit as we undo there's no elastic on the bottom, so there's elastic. Try to be a little mindful of the tuners. And then you have a guitar in a foam bag. So I'll probably keep the foam bag around. Again, I'm thinking I might let one of these go. I was into a thing for a while when I thought something would be my primary guitar. I would get something similar as a backup. Kind of let that idea go lately. Because I wound up just getting a lot of guitars. And now it's the time I'm gonna start letting some of them go. Ooh, similar inlay. Here's the headstock. Let's start from the top. We got nice interior warm lighting for y'all today. There's it says Firefly, serial number, and a sticker. And again, so I'm a big Fish Head and Trey fan, so these are right out of that school. With the inlay, the thin inlay are pretty nice. I'm not an expert on lutherie and the different, there's a little piece of wood shard in there, so that, if I had to guess, that came out of the interior somewhere and bounced around the room and found its way under a string. But I like the inlay, they're nice and thin. Oh, there's another piece of wood. There's it's like a little balsa. Now it's like tissue. Ooh, some paper stuck under a fret. Interesting. That is interesting, because obviously one of the first things when you're playing that can make your day not super great is if the frets aren't level. So we'll do a quick playthrough. I'm not going to be super thorough, but the color is a little darker. It's more flamey than spalted. Spalting looks cool, and obviously these are veneers. It's not a solid body, solid maple top at this price. But the contour is nice. Got some plastic cover on the pick guards, which I'll leave for now. They do have these little roller balls on the bridge, floating bridge. So far, I'm not seeing any obvious flaws, aside from the little debris on the frets. The tailpiece, I think they advertised it as rosewood. Maybe it's stained to look dark like this. It doesn't feel like ebony. So, but it's got the look. Switches go front to back. So these are coil taps or coil splits. A lot of times on these, I'm used to going up, down. So that just takes a little getting used to. And then you got your bridge, I hope, and neck right there. So overall, they warn you, or they advise on the website, that the tops are all going to be different. But this one, I noticed, I feel like I got one of the last of the recent drops. And then a few days later, they did have some more, so they are building these. Yeah, and it's the same route, which I've done a video on the other one. I don't hate. Like I said, I do like that pattern a little better, so I'm leaning towards this one. And it's all about the playability and seeing what's talking to you. The first one hasn't really connected with me and inspired me to play all the time. Oh, but this is interesting. I was not really watching. I got some little styrofoam dusties here. The most recent drop had more of the burst pattern on the back, and this has a dark pattern, but I thought it was just going to be, you know, pretty dark and opaque like the Gen 1 Firefly Pegasus we just looked at. But it is a flame veneer on the back as well, and a nice carve as well. The finish looks good. The binding looks good. There's some, probably the biggest flaw on this point is my fingerprints. Here's the upper bout. I like these very squared off kind of end pins for your strap. They're less likely to slip and slide off and onto the floor while you're playing. Binding looks good. Another little made in China sticker there. But, and I think they kind of contoured the underside of the bridge wood. Is it coming up? It doesn't feel, there's something, I feel like I could like stick my thumb in a gap, my thumbnail or something in a gap there, but I don't think I really can. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with the little plastic over the pickups yet. I'm gonna make sure there's no obvious flaws in playability or sound. The tuners on the other one are pretty good. They got these little bulge on the back, otherwise kind of default Ping Grover style. Nice little white binding all the way around the edge. Their little Archie style take on the Languedoc, which I grew up in New England, so I will do another guitar on the channel soon here. So Trey had his for Vermont, his adopted home, where it looked like the state of Vermont. I did one of a much more realistic, but I don't know if it looks as cool, version of New Hampshire. So I'll just go a little slower here so you can, those ball and frets, that's one of the selling points of Firefly. Some of the other ones I've had, I had a Telly, and some of the Les Pauls were not as rounded over as I would have liked. They're also typically, like I've noticed a lot of the import Strats and Tellys are kind of going after like a high-end Sur or, you know, one of those other very customized California style guitars where they have flatter radiuses. But I would definitely like more of a rolled over thing. So I think some of the more recent ones are getting into a little more comfortable playing edge. The frets do go right up to them, so you feel them. There are some models where you can barely feel those rounded frets because they're kind of set in from the edge of the fretboard. But overall, looks good. I'm gonna do some first impressions. There's the box. We got our little rubber band in there. I'll probably put my thing in there while I I like to get used to these. I'm gonna keep it in good condition if I do sell it. They do have a little skunk stripe on the back. I don't think we talked about. I do like the look of this one a little better. It's still kind of a cherry burst, but there's something to be said for the spalting. It's a little more funky and a little more, even though this is a lot of a copy guitar, there's something kind of unique about the spalting. Like, I know there's no spalted Languedocs that I'm aware of, so. But, I don't want to get too personal here with my pink unboxing sweats. Here we go. So there it is. Well, let's tune it up. I'll do a little unplugged play test. I've got a strap over here waiting. Oh, it's got a nice kind of like reddish hue, kind of blends into some of the edge of the burst on the Firefly. There it is. I tuned it down to ship. Got my super snark. And it starts at a C sharp. I bet that's where they put it. I bet they intentionally put it a certain distance down for shipping. No, maybe not. That one was only about a step down. Yeah, we're about half step there. I'm gonna go back down because I want the first chord to be in tune. I'm gonna back up a little bit. Now we're still a little flat. But it's a cold day, so some of these may have come up in shipping because it was probably, well, they still get winter in China. There you go. I'm still slipping on the E. Let the strings warm up a little bit. While the strings are warming up, I'm gonna. Oh, the action is a little lower than last time. We got some string rattle. I bet I'm gonna have to lower the action relief, give it a little more relief on the neck. Yeah, it's really bad down there. Honestly, though, the surprising thing is I bet this won't sound terrible amplified. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm gonna check the relief by holding the string at the first and last fret. And there should be a little bit of relief on, around B on your low string. There's not, obviously. So, I mean, it is what it is. You're shipping a guitar around the world. There's going to be an issue. And it might correct itself a little bit just coming out of the box as the instrument warms up. And I keep bringing the tuning up. One note about these little, it's kind of nice. I haven't seen it on almost any instruments. These little roller bridges on I'm gonna go ahead and call that a ABR1 style bridge with this skinny tuning post. So they have the little roller saddles. Apparently, if you take off the strings, which eventually you have to do and retune, these could fall all over the floor. They're not like secured in there. They're just pressed in by the strings. So be aware of that. Yeah, I'm feeling that right now. There's just little the little pin that rolls is set in there, and there's nothing over the top of it, which hopefully they're replaceable, but if you lost one, my oh my, that would be frustrating. And then while we're here, I'm just gonna, the pots feel nice and clean. Switch looks like pretty full size. I think I'm looking at the cabling in there, from what I can tell. It's must be a kit that they pre-wire and then get in there while the pickup covers are off. They're nice, healthy size F-holes, so you get somebody without supersized hands and it should be fine. Not fine, I mean, I've worked on F-hole electronics and it's painstaking, let's say. So you can see in there, I got my light on, I'm trying to see. You see back there, it's very, very dark. So I'm gonna look from this side. I'd say right about here, the internal center block stops and it goes right inside the F-hole. It seems to let up right about there. And then it goes all the way around the end. Which I've talked about this before. I was disappointed with the first one of these I got. I actually think it's a pretty good design. I think it lets enough, sound is vibrating air, vibrating columns of air, as a friend of mine used to say. So I think it lets the instrument breathe enough, and it seems to do the thing. I do some infinite feedback sustain tests on my channel. It's kind of been a long-standing obsession of mine. The funny thing is I don't do that a lot in my playing, but it's always been a test of like, oh, could I get a rig and a guitar setup that could do that and then also do other stuff? For a long time I was on a kind of a fool's errand of trying to get a rig where you could do Garcia stuff of Grateful Dead and Trey stuff of Fish in one rig. And I think you can, but it would take a lot to do both well. And they're so different. They're kind of the opposite end of the tonal universe of guitar. There it is. So I hope you get a good long look. If you like these, if you're considering one of these, this is what you will experience and my kind of initial thoughts. I'm gonna check that relief one more time. It's nice low action, I'm gonna say that. So I feel that is an expression of confidence on the builder's part that this instrument can be set up about that low, and then they just rolled the dice with weather, temperature, humidity, etc., altitude, atmosphere, blah, 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 would support that when it arrived. It didn't in my case. The last guitar did. So I've got the amp on. I've got a little Champ 12, which means it's a single-ended 6L6 amp with a 12-inch speaker. I'm going to give it a little volume. Ooh, it's a little bridge sound. Yeah, you can hear some of the fret buzz and stuff. Ooh, neck pickup is much weaker. I'm gonna bring that up. You can see. Maybe the bridge pickup looks pretty reasonable. The neck pickup is sounding a little underwhelming. Give it another tune. I almost wonder, I'm gonna tune it up a half step, maybe even a whole step, and see if we can just, for this purposes of this video, get some of that buzzing out of our system. And the intonation, of course, will be a little off, but I don't think it's perfect as it is. So second string is on C, first string is on F. Ooh. Down, see what it is. It's better. Not quite. It definitely seems to work on the low end. But let's look at the nut. The nut seems to be cut pretty well. It's pretty consistent, so I think that is relief. That should improve with a little relief in the middle frets. Sounds pretty good. Definitely a little better. That to me is the point where if you like really low action, you have to accept a little bit of fret buzz. I do like that flamey look. And the new ones, like I said, the latest ones, I have a burst on the back too, from what I've seen. So I like that this one's kind of unique. I don't expect to see these at every blues jam, far from that, but I like to know that it's a little unique. Get that a little more volume. Let's check these switches. Ooh, it was in single coil modes. That's cool. No wonder I was wanting to play the Garcia stuff. Bridge is still much hotter. If you have perfect pitch right now, I'm gonna really annoy you. Even that sounds a little off. Yeah, anyway. Charlie Parker. Jazz. Yeah, I'm gonna put on the other one just so you can hear that. I don't think there's been a change. I think this is the same guitar with a flame maple veneer instead of a spalted veneer. Neck heel looks the same. Everything's just a little darker on that one. There was a little paper on this one under the bridge. I haven't even changed the strings on this one. I barely played it. I like the strings on it. It's fine. I've considered rolling the fretboard a little bit. Intonated pretty well, and I like the action obviously because I've had a chance to adjust it to taste. I'm gonna put on a little gain. That's pretty light drive. Let me give it a little more. I wonder if I can get a little sustain out of this thing if I give it a little more volume. It's not an arch top, so it's kind of like a extra 335 with a little extra space in there. But you know, I'm realizing, unless you get a nice braced arch top, it really doesn't. It's not going to jump to life necessarily, especially with you know, this is not a very carefully routed or maybe dried or selected piece of mahogany on the top, or maybe even in the center. So it's like a solid body with a little extra oomph. But solid body guitars with a good neck joint are pretty good in my opinion. And as long as we're going over a half hour, I'm gonna bring the other one back. We're hanging out. good sounding amp too. I just got it back from the shop, so kind of psyched to hear it. Well, one way or the other, I'll probably put one or both of these through the crucible of infinity pretty soon here. But thanks for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're into this kind of thing or you enjoy this guitar, my name's Dave, Mountain Ranch Music. Peace.